Good evening. This is going to be one of those follow-up kind of videos that I do now and then. Now, I'm far from perfect and I do make the occasional mistake. And sometimes the mistake is big enough that I feel that I have to address it. I believe the usual etiquette is to do a video where I apologise and start crying and talk about taking accountability. That's not really my style though. Well anyway. Before that, I'd like to briefly talk about something I didn't mention in a video, which a number of you pointed out in the comments section. In my recent video comparing the Elizabeth line and the Heathrow Express, something I didn't mention was the defunct train service known as Heathrow Connect. Quite honestly, in all the places I've lived, it's always been more convenient to use the Piccadilly line to get to Heathrow Airport, so Heathrow Connect never really registered with me as a thing. It was kind of the predecessor of the Elizabeth line, or one of them at least. Of all the train services to Heathrow, it seems to be the most obscure. Basically, it was a stopping train service between Paddington and Heathrow, operated jointly between Great Western Railway, who run the line out of Paddington, and British Airports Authority, who operate the airport. It used 5 Class 360 electric multiple units, ordered especially for the service. The two main advantages that it had over the Heathrow Express were firstly that it was cheaper, and secondly that it stopped en route. The stopping points were Ealing Broadway, West Ealing, Hanwell and Hayes and Arlington. The journey apparently took 25 minutes, which would make it about 5 to 10 minutes quicker than the Elizabeth line. That being said, I've seen other estimates of the time at 30 to 50 minutes, which is quite a significant difference. Perhaps if you have experience with the service, you could let me know in the comments which is the closer estimate. Thank you in advance. The service was relatively infrequent compared to the Elizabeth line. I suppose you have to give the Heathrow Express some sort of advantage after all. The fares, which were the same as on GWR, were the big draw, and there was additionally a discount for staff working at Heathrow Airport. The service began in 2005. In 2018 it was taken over by TfL and became part of TfL Rail, which was TfL's division for taking charge of certain parts of the London suburban rail network prior to their being absorbed into the Elizabeth line. The trains were withdrawn in 2020 and replaced by Class 345s. 2 of the old Class 360s were scrapped, although old feels like an odd thing to say for trains that were less than 15 years of age. There had been talk of repurposing them, possibly for use as freight trains, but they were found unsuitable. The remaining trains went to the Global Centre for Rail Excellence for use as test trains. In 2020, the core section of the Elizabeth line opened, and so the last vestiges of the Heathrow Connect service were swept away. So ended the tale of Heathrow Connect. Now, the other thing. You might say we're going from Heathrow Connect to Heathrow Correct. A key part of my conclusion in that video was that the advanced Heathrow Express fare was £5.50. Now, on the website where I first found this, it did seem very cheap, and I checked it on other websites. They all agreed that that was the price. And those websites had all been updated fairly recently. But then I discovered that, in fact, they were wrong. All of them. And in fact, the £5.50 fare has been abolished quite recently, end of last year it seems. Now the cheapest fare is £15, and there are limited numbers of tickets at that price. So, sorry about that everyone, my mistake. But this does, as I say, completely alter my conclusion. £5.50 is, as I said at the time, excellent value for money. £15, not so much. I mean, that's not a small fare rise, is it? Especially if there are only limited numbers of tickets at that price. Let us then reconsider the Elizabeth line versus Heathrow Express thing. The Heathrow Express retains the advantages of speed and luggage space. It has toilets on board, unlike the Elizabeth line. Frequency-wise, the two lines are similar. It runs between Paddington and Heathrow with no intermediate stops. If that all works for you, and that's worth £15, then fill your boots, I guess. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, please do leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and here on YouTube for your generous support. You are the intermediate stops to my West London residing airport worker. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.